You're watching First News at 5. Your news and weather headlines start right now.
Good afternoon, I'm Molly Martinez. The holiday weekend is upon us, and in many parts of our viewing area are kicking things off with 90-degree temperatures. Let's go right now to meteorologist Kevin Lawrence for an early look at our forecast. Kevin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Molly. Yes, it is getting mighty hot out there. Chance for more thunderstorms, and some could be on the severe side. I've got much more to cover coming up later in the show.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
All right.
More than 80,000 inmates are placed in solitary confinement every year in the United States. A study by NYU says solitary confinement is considered harmful to the mental health of prisoners because it restricts meaningful social contact. Often, inmates are in their cells for 23 hours a day with minimal human interaction. Nearly 2 years ago, the state penitentiary in North Dakota adopted a program that allows residents in segregation to interact with staff and others more frequently.
Day and night. It's a lot brighter back here now, so it's not, it just seemed a lot darker back here the first time, and now this time it's a lot more opportunities this time.
Adrian Haggins lived through both models of segregation at the prison. He says this new program helps inmates bounce back into the general population more efficiently. NBC North Dakota News has talked to staff and inmates at the pen to find out the positive changes the program has made. Crime reporter Daniela Hurtado will have the full story coming up on the evening report. A Bismarck man was unresponsive for 8 minutes early this morning before being revived by 6 doses of Narcan. Police say they were called to an apartment in the 1100 block of Summit Boulevard. When they arrived on scene, they found the unresponsive man in an apartment. A witness says the man was using heroin earlier that day. Police say they administered 2 nasal doses. Metro Ambulance then administered 4 more doses of Narcan. The man was then transported to the ER for further review. Police say the case is still being investigated for possible charges. Now, 1 dose of Narcan costs between $70 and $80. A Mandan man is charged with criminal mischief after he was caught red-handed in a vandalism spree Wednesday night. According to the affidavit, 32-year-old Ryan Bernhardt was kicked out of Vicky's Sports Bar around 11 p.m. Shortly after, the bar owner noticed red spray paint across the front of her building. And that was just the beginning. Police followed a line of red spray paint down 2nd Street that led right to Bernhardt's front door. When he answered the door, his hands were covered in red paint. Damages are estimated between $7,000. Bernhardt's bond is set at $500. The Bismarck police need your help in finding 22-year-old Camille Lynn Crow. Police say Crow was last seen on May 23rd around 7:45 p.m. at her residence in the 100 block of London Avenue. Authorities say Crow has a medical condition that requires her to take medication and is believed she does not have any with her. Crow is 5'2", 130 pounds, with brown eyes, black hair. She was last seen wearing a black sweatpants and black tank top. North Dakota is facing a problem in tackling bullying. Turns out the Century Code policy predates social media. Cyberbullying is a serious issue in our country, one that North Dakota lawmakers want to work out. John Salling is here with more.
The state superintendent today turned to students for some ideas on how to handle the issue. The 20-student cabinet meets a few times throughout the school year to give feedback and brainstorm ideas for North Dakota's schools.
Our end game is to really provide some insight and input to work with our legislature to improve and essentially update our bullying policy. Our bullying policy that is currently in Century Code was written a number of years ago, and it was before the time of Twitter and Snapchat and
other issues discussed at the meeting today were school uniforms and how to increase student involvement in community service and school organizations.
3 people are reportedly hurt after a shooter opened fire at an Indiana middle school. It happened in Noblesville, about 25 miles northeast of Indianapolis. Police say a suspect is in custody. 1 adult and 1 student were taken to local hospitals. The school was put on lockdown before students were evacuated and escorted to school buses. There have been 23 school shootings where someone in the United States was hurt or killed so far this year. That's an average of more than 1 shooting a week. A manhunt is underway in Canada for 2 men who bombed an Indian restaurant outside of Toronto last night. Police say the men entered the building, dropped an improvised explosive device, and fled. 3 people were critically injured in the explosion. Police say there is no indication that the incident was a terrorist or hate crime, but that has not been ruled out. Disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein turned himself in to authorities this morning. The 66-year-old will be charged in connection with sexual misconduct allegations. At least 75 women have come forward in the media to detail accounts of assault, harassment, and inappropriate conduct by Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein has denied all wrongdoing. Well, it's the season to dig out that motorcycle from the shed and test it out before you take it on the road. Maddie Delseth went to a locally owned parts, accessories, and riding apparel shop for motorcycles. She has this week's Main Street Minute.
This is First News at 5.
Well, there's no doubt that obesity increases the risk of numerous health problems, but extra weight may help patients survive a serious infection. Researchers in Denmark tracked more than 18,000 people hospitalized for any infectious disease. They found obese patients were twice as likely to survive as their normal weight peers. Experts suggest obesity-related inflammation may protect the body from infection. Also, a new study reveals most low-income urban mothers do not take prenatal vitamins before getting pregnant. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University tracked more than 7,000 women living in Boston. Fewer than 5% took daily folic acid supplements before getting pregnant, and over 86% took no prenatal vitamins at all before conception. Many studies have shown that pre-pregnancy use of folic acid greatly reduces the risk of neural tube defects. Many doctors fail to follow up with patients who suffer a concussion. That's according to a new study from the University of California in San Francisco. It showed less than half of concussion patients see top-level trauma centers get follow-up treatment in the months after their injury. Only 60% of those with severe symptoms returned to the doctor for evaluation. Researchers say patients who fall off the radar may be at risk for long-term complications. A Nebraska school bus driver was immediately fired after a student recorded him using his cell phone while driving the bus. A Norris Middle School student recorded the driver using his cell phone for more than 2 minutes. She then posted the video to Facebook. In the video, the driver can be seen looking down at the phone screen, tapping on the screen, and holding the phone to his ear. The student says this is not the first time it's happened either. The driver said he knew it was wrong, but he was just trying to find his daughter a ride from school. Fiat Chrysler is recalling millions of vehicles from the issue. The issue stems from a potential defect that could leave drivers unable to cancel cruise control during certain situations. The recall covers 15 Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, and Dodge models built between 2014 and 2018. Fiat Chrysler says they are unaware of any related injuries or accidents involving the affected vehicles. The company says if drivers are unable to cancel cruise control, they can eventually stop by shifting into neutral and braking. Once the vehicle has stopped, drivers need to place the vehicle in park and cancel the cruise control engagement. The defect will be fixed with a software update free of charge. Gas prices all over the country are rising, but millions of Americans are still expected to hit the highways this holiday weekend. Most say the higher cost of travel won't stop them from starting their summer of fun on the road. NBC's Dan Schneeman has the story.
Millions of Americans plan to get away for the weekend.
We're going to spend a lot of time at the beach.
And experts warn the roadways will be crowded.
36 million are projected to be driving to their destination this year.
But the cost of traveling to that destination this summer will be higher.
Right now, there are reports out that gas prices are expected to go up 14% for summer travel.
AAA reports the average price for a gallon of regular unleaded fuel is approaching $3, 59 cents higher than a year ago. The price of gas hasn't forced travelers to hit the brakes on their getaway.
And although it's higher than it should be, it's not going to affect us that much.
Experts say consumers have more money to spend and more confidence thanks to a strong economy.
And as consumers are more confident, they're spending more and they're actually investing more in travel with family.
An investment in a good time. Dan Schneeman, NBC News.
Many Americans will be traveling this Memorial Day, and chances are many of them will visit a national landmark. But just what is the favorite national landmark in the United States? Turns out it's Alcatraz Island, a little over a mile offshore in the San Francisco Bay. It's the top landmark this year. That's according to TripAdvisor's annual Traveler's Choice Awards for landmarks. Coming in at number 2, also in San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. The Lincoln Memorial in the nation's capital is at number 3, and Grand Central Station in New York City comes in at number 4. And the USS Arizona Memorial in Honolulu rounds out the top 5. I'm really sad Salem Sioux didn't make that list.
It's down there, 24. Well, it's up there.
It's a robbery.
Yeah, right. Okay, hey, something interesting tonight in our western sky. It's going to be traversing the sky, actually. But after sunset, we see Jupiter this time of year. That bright object, that's the planet Jupiter. I'm sorry, Venus. No, Jupiter's in the southeast sky. Venus, the evening star, but it's not a star. It's a planet, but still it's called an evening star. We also have the space station tonight. Tonight at 10:44 Central Time. It's a 6-minute window. It goes from the western sky all the way to the east-northeast, maximum height of 44 degrees. Check it out. It really is a cool thing tonight. And then tomorrow night, another 6-minute viewing opportunity. And then the times get a lot less going into early June. So check it out. The weather's going to be nice and mostly clear.
All right, time now to find out what's coming up on the Evening Report.
Well, Molly, this is National Missing Children's Day. We'll show you some pictures of some North Dakotans who have now been missing for years. The economic picture in North Dakota is looking a little better thanks to oil prices, but there's a long way to go. And North Dakota Republicans need to find a new executive director. Those stories plus sports and the forecast coming up on the Evening Report.
Thanks, Alan, and thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us again for the Evening Report. Until then, here's NBC's Nightly News.